So are you thinking about planning a trip to Disneyland Paris? Perhaps you already have a trip booked and you're wondering, what do I have to do before I get to Disneyland Paris to make the trip a success? Well, do not worry, because in this video I'm sharing everything you need to know. I'm Ree, welcome back to my channel, Mummy of Four Does Disney, where we share loads of Disney vlogs, Disney trip planning, outfit planning, all that kind of thing. If you're into Disney, I know you will love it. The first thing you're going to want to think about is which time of year you want to plan your trip. If you are not constricted by the school holidays, it's well worth looking at going during term time. Obviously, if you have children you can't take out of school, or if you're a teacher, this isn't an option. But for everyone else with young preschool age children or no children at all, you're going to find the parks significantly less busy, and perhaps the price is a lot more affordable if you look at term time. You need to think about seasonality and weather. Take a look online for the weather by month in Paris to know what to expect, and whether you want to go in the winter, the Halloween or Christmas, and then the weather is going to be a lot cooler and perhaps a lot wetter too, or whether you want to think about booking in the summer when it's going to be a lot warmer. So you've got your dates, you need to think about where you're going to stay when you get there. So obviously you've got on-site hotels you can stay at with Disney, you've got partner hotels which are kind of Disney approved but not actually on-site Disney hotels, and then you've just got third-party independent places you can stay. The Disney resorts are likely to be more expensive, but are obviously going to be more Disney themed. You'll likely benefit from extra magic hours, where you can go into the parks before non-Disney hotel guests. Often characters can be found at these resorts. You can often get hotel and ticket packages, and then some of the Disney resorts, but not all of them, will include transportation into the parks, or some of them will even be walking distance. Disney partner hotels are located fairly close to Disneyland Paris. They are approved by Disney. They can be booked directly through Disney or through third parties, just the same as the Disney hotels. While they may not have the extra magic or the Disney theming, they're usually a lot more affordable. And many, but not all of the Disney partner hotels will include transportation option. Then obviously you could just choose the non-Disney affiliated accommodation. You could go self-catering, you could book an Airbnb, a bed and breakfast, a hotel. We have opted for a Disney partner hotel, but this time we have booked it independently. I've booked through booking.com, and I'll put the link to everything that I have booked for our trip, which we're going on the 1st of June. So by the time you see this video, we already will have flown to Disney. So make sure you are subscribed to the channel for Disney vlogs and following along on Instagram for the stories of our trip. Anyway, as I was saying, I have got a blog post to go with this video, and every video I put out actually with links to everything that I'm talking about in the video, just in case you need to read through that information or find links to the things that I am talking about. So you've booked your accommodation, you need to figure out how you are going to get to Paris. You've got lots of different options to consider. Obviously, if you're going to Walt Disney World in Florida from the UK, pretty much the only way to get there is flying. Whereas with Disneyland Paris, you've got so many more options. You can take the ferry across from Dover to Calais, which is a really good option if you'd like to have your car with you in France. The ferry crossing is around 90 minutes, and you can expect a drive of around 3 hours when you get off the ferry and you're heading to Disneyland Paris. Another option is that you can take your car on the EuroTunnel. This crossing is from Folkestone to Calais. The crossing itself is quicker than the ferry and takes around 35 minutes, but you can still expect the same roughly 3 hour, just over 3 hour drive when you get off the EuroTunnel in Calais, and then you have to drive on to Disneyland Paris. If you don't need a car, you can consider taking the Eurostar. So the EuroTunnel is the train that you take your car. The Eurostar is the one you just get on as a foot passenger with your luggage. These trains take you all the way to Disneyland Paris. So this entire trip will take around 2 hours 49 minutes. If you live in London or the surrounding areas, this would be a really easy option for you. However, for lots of these options, getting to the port or the train station can obviously be a bit costly depending on where you live in the country. So the other option is to fly. Now obviously you've got different airports across the country, and depending where you live, this may be an easier option, as your local airport may be a lot closer than getting on the ferry, the Eurostar or the Eurotunnel. So we're actually going to be taking the flying option. We will be flying from Bristol because we live in Wales, and we are flying with EasyJet. Check-in for our EasyJet flight opens 30 days before the flight, so we've already done that, and all this can be done via the app. So if you are flying, you need to consider how you're getting to the airport this side, and also how you're getting from the airport to the other side, because with the Ferry or the EuroTunnel, obviously you'll have your car, and with the Eurostar, you're arriving pretty much at Disneyland Paris. So for the UK airport transfers, you can look into driving and parking near the relevant airport, whichever airport you choose to fly from. You can use public transport or a private airport transfer. In my experience, the more there are of you, the more economical it becomes to do the private transfers. As a family of 6, then that has worked out the best option for us. It also is a really good option because when you get back, if you're really tired, then you're not having to drive home, which obviously could be a little dangerous. We found this especially helpful. Obviously it won't be as bad as when we flew back from Florida because the jet lag won't be anything like that was. The flight over to Paris from Bristol is just over an hour. We're actually going to spend more time hanging around the airport than we will in the air, unlike the 9 and a bit hours we spent on the way to Florida. So when you get the other side to the airport in France and you are having to get to Disneyland or to your accommodation, you can take a private taxi, you can take a shuttle bus, you can use the train, or you can use a pre-scheduled airport transfer. Now I asked over on my Instagram for recommendations from people that have recently been to Disneyland Paris for what they found to be really helpful. And the overwhelming majority of people recommended prestige transfers. So that's who we have booked with. Obviously I haven't used them before and I will do a follow-up video when we get back, making sure I go over our experiences and our recommendations, but that's who we've booked with. And for us, it was cheaper to book that private transfer because there are 6 of us than to pay for 6 individual tickets on a service that would take us longer actually to get to the hotel. So obviously it's going to depend on the size of your family. It's definitely worth pricing up the different options because even though it's a private transfer, it may not necessarily be more expensive. So we've got our accommodation sorted, we have got our transport sorted, and the next thing we need to make sure we've got organised is park tickets. If you've booked directly through Disney with Disney Accommodation, it's possible you have park tickets included in your stay. If not, however, you will need to book these and you can either do that through a third party or directly through Disney. So in Disneyland Paris, you've got the main park, which is known as Disneyland Park, and then you've got the Walt Disney Studios Park, which was built a little bit later on. Then you've got the Disney Village, which is a bit like Disney Springs in Florida, full of shops, restaurants, that kind of thing. To access Disneyland Park or Walt Disney Studios Park, you will need tickets. You can opt for 1-day, 2-day or multi-day ticket options, and those tickets can either be for 1 park only, which would be a little bit cheaper, or the 2 park option. You can also go for an undated ticket, which gives you the flexibility if you're not exactly sure when you'll be visiting. All the up-to-date prices can be found directly on the Disneyland Paris website. Alternatively, you can go the annual pass route. Annual passes will obviously cost more than day tickets, but come with scaled benefits depending on which pass you go for. Annual passes can be purchased in advance online, or you can opt for a day ticket, then upgrade to an annual pass when you get into the park. If you'd like to view the annual pass prices or purchase these online, you're going to need to go to the French site, and if you don't speak French, you can just use the Chrome browser and press translate. That will give you all of the prices listed in euros, or you can just call Disneyland Paris directly if you have any questions. I've done this myself and found them really helpful. So we have purchased single day tickets for 1 park for the first day, and we'll be upgrading to annual passes when we get into the parks. The reason I'm doing it this way round is because I need to attach the priority access, which is the disability element of the pass, to the annual passes because my children have autism. So in order to organise this, I'm just going to do it all in the parks when we get there. If you would like to see an in-depth video about organising annual passes, how we found that and things, let me know in the comments and I can put that together for you as soon as we get home. It is worth noting, whether you're going for the ticketed option or the annual pass option, you're going to need to reserve which days you'd like to enter the parks before you arrive. Because on busy days when the parks are full, even if you have an annual pass, you won't be allowed access. Other things you're going to need to organise, these are kind of the boring things, but the essential things, so pay attention because this might not be interesting, but it is important. You're going to need to make sure all of your passports for everyone travelling in your party are up to date. This may sound obvious, however, it's so easy to think, yeah, our passports are in date, but actually you're really supposed to have at least 6 months remaining on your passport before you travel. So just do me a favour, as soon as you finish watching this video, go and check for me. Just check when those passports need renewing, because there is nothing worse than realising last minute that you don't have enough time to renew the passports. That's a stressful experience. You need to make sure, as with wherever you travel, that you have sufficient holiday insurance to cover every aspect of your trip. Make sure you check all the small print on your policy. We actually have annual travel insurance policy alongside our banking. So if you have something similar, just make sure you get all the documents. And as with everything, print them all off, put them in one of your popper folders and pack that in your hand luggage, and all of your ticket, even things you've got saved on your phone, print anything that's been sent to you, your accommodation, your flights, all that kind of thing, print it off, pop it in a folder, and if you've got any technology issues at the airport or trying to check in anywhere, then you know you've got the paper copies as a backup. Now for pre-travel compliance. Oh, this is so boring, isn't it? I'm hoping that a lot of this information will become totally obsolete in the future. It's all relevant at the time of editing, but I do urge you to please, please, please check the actual requirements before you fly, because hopefully they will have gassed off a little bit, but the way the world is, you never know. Promise me you will check with your travel provider close to your trip that you've got everything in place. But at the time that we are traveling, this is what we have to do. First of all, there's online check-in with EasyJet. I briefly touched on this earlier, and I would imagine this will stay pretty similar, COVID or no COVID. EasyJet is a ticketless airline, so we needed to check in up to 30 days before, tell them how much baggage we wanted to take and pay for any additional baggage that we required, do the online check-in and download our boarding passes. So I've got those saved to my phone, but I've also got them printed out in that pack that I will be popping in hand luggage. The current French entry requirements have changed, and they're not nearly as strict as they were just a few months ago. They depend upon your age and vaccination status. So currently, for fully vaccinated adults, there are no testing requirements to get to France. You will need to make sure you have downloaded your proof of vaccination status. What you'll find is that these proof of vaccination documents actually expire. They've got a very short shelf life on them. So you need to make sure you've downloaded the latest version of the document before your trip. Where you download this is different depending where you live in the country. So just Google download vaccination proof and England, Wales, Scotland, wherever you are, and that'll take you to the relevant place. If you are unvaccinated and over the age of 12, you will be required to provide a negative PCR test taken within 72 hours of departure, or provide a negative antigen test taken within 48 hours of departure. Check with your travel provider that the testing provider that you would like to use is going to be compliant with their requirements. Currently, everyone under 12 travelling to France is exempt from all vaccination and testing proof. So my under 12-year-old children won't require any tests at all before we travel. Before travelling to France, you'll also need to fill in an EU-PLF form online. This just takes some basic contact information about you and your party for sort of a track and trace purpose. Like I said, there is that blog post linked down in the description, which lists out everything you need to do, so you can make sure you've ticked off everything on your list. So now for some apps. You need to download the Disneyland Paris app. You need to make sure it's the actual Disneyland Paris authentic app and not a third-party app, because this is the one where Disneyland Paris will post all of the wait times for the various rides, attractions, character meet, whether a ride is closed or open, where you can order quick service food directly through the app, view all the maps. The app is fantastic. It's really worth downloading and exploring before you go. It's also where you can book reservations, but we will get to that in a moment. The other app that's well worth downloading has just been released by Disneyland Paris, and it's the Disneyland Paris Celebration Quest. So Disneyland Paris are currently in the midst of their 30th anniversary celebrations, which look fantastic. The app is a game that you can play within the park, looking for certain things on some sort of quest, and you win things like filters. Now, this is all I know about the app from having read the description of the app. Most of the app is not unlocked until you are physically in Disneyland Paris. So make sure you've downloaded it, that you've allowed the app to know where you are and use of the camera, that kind of thing, so that when you get into the parks, you can actually try it and use it. We'll be giving this app a go, and I will report back on it more after we've been and we've used it to let you know how it actually goes. But just make sure you've downloaded it before your trip so you can explore it when you get there too. On to dining reservations. So it is not essential to make dining reservations in order to eat in Disneyland Paris, but if you want to eat at any of the sit-down restaurants, especially the character dining restaurants, you're going to need to make a reservation. This can be done through the app or the website by logging in with your details, and reservations can be made up to 2 months in advance. Now, although when we did our Florida trip, I made lots of dining reservations, we did lots of character dining, we're gonna have a very different trip for this particular Disneyland Paris trip. I've not actually booked any dining reservations at all. We're going to attempt to just stick to quick service meals. Obviously, if we're getting annual passes, we will be going back again, so maybe we'll fit in some sort of more expensive sit-down dining, then some character experiences. But for this trip, we've got a hit list of quick service restaurants that we want to try. Quick service restaurants can either be restaurants you physically walk up to and just order food, or like I mentioned before, food you can order through the app. We did a lot of ordering food on the app in Florida and it was fantastic. It was so easy. Buy it on the app, pay for it on the app. It gives you a ping when it's ready and then you go and pick it up. It's definitely the easiest way to feed the people you're with nice and quickly and then get on with your day. So on to disability and accessibility. So Disneyland Paris have two options for accessibility. They have the priority card and the easy access card. The priority card gives priority but not immediate access to attractions, shows, parades, selfie spots, restaurants and shop checkouts. With an official document that is accepted by Disneyland Paris, and we'll get on to what those are in a second, the qualifying person plus one carer with them is entitled to 25% off either park tickets or annual passes. So you can request your priority card when you get there, or you can save time by requesting it online up to 1 month before you arrive. Disneyland Paris accepts all of these documents as proof of disability for the purpose of the priority card. Even if you've booked your priority access online, you need to make sure that you have one of these documents with you on the day of your visit to validate your priority card. So in order to register for your priority card online, you need to first select the date of your visit, indicate the level of autonomy that you or the person that you're applying for the priority card for has, enter your contact information and upload a valid passport photo and copy of your passport. You will then receive a confirmation email with a reference number on it. Make sure you check your spam folder because it can be hiding over there sometimes. Then you can pick up your card on the day of your visit. Your card will be valid for 7 days from when you pick it up. So if you postpone or cancel your trip, you will need to make a new request for a new priority card. Annual pass holders can have priority cards attached to their annual passes, which is what we're planning to do, that should last the duration of the annual pass. The other option is an easy access card, which has different eligibility requirements. Easy access cards are for people with a recognised long-term chronic disease. Examples of these can be found here. I've also listed them all in the blog post. There is also a link to the specific page you need on the Disneyland Paris website with all of this information laid out for you, linked in that blog post in the description. For easy access cards, you can request them on the day. You will need to bring with you an original medical certificate signed by a doctor in either French or English, dated within 3 months of your visit. You can do this either at your Disney hotel or at the entrance to the parks. Onto mobile phones, you need to check with your mobile phone provider that you've got roaming and that your phone will work in France, and arrange which package you'll be using so you don't end up getting stung for loads and loads of fees. The element you really want to look at is how much data is going to be, and it might be worth turning off your 3G or 4G and just relying on Wi-Fi if you want to save a bit on your phone bill. Then on to outfit planning. Obviously this is going to depend massively on the time of year that you're visiting. The weather in France is really quite warm in the summer and really quite cold in the winter. And then even in the evenings, in the summer, you may need things like a nice sweatshirt to keep warm for watching the fireworks. Now you can just go really casual to Disney. There is no actual dress code. You can Disney it up a bit with some Disney ears and Disney t-shirt, or you can go full on Disney bounding. Now, costumes are not allowed for adults in Disney, but Disney bounding, which is dressing kind of in the style, the inspiration, or just the colour palette of a certain character, or even ride, can be loads and loads of fun. I've got loads of videos about Disney bounding outfit ideas if you want to learn a little bit more or get some outfit inspiration, including the everything we're wearing to Disneyland Paris for our June trip video. You need to think about luggage allowance. Now for our trip, obviously we're flying with EasyJet. Included in our luggage allowance, we've only got one small handbag, so the equivalent of one of my lounge fly bags. I have paid an additional price for having carry-on cabin-sized luggage, and we're just taking one case each of those as carry-on. An option to upgrade to luggage in the hold as well, but this really depends on your party, what time of the year it is. In the summer, obviously you're not going to need to take as many bulky things, so maybe you can get away with less luggage, but it's well worth looking at. Have you got the right cases? Are they going to be the right sizes to be allowed on your trip? So you need to speak to your specific travel provider. Obviously, if you're going on the ferry or the EuroTunnel, it's just how much you can physically cram in your car. It's sometimes worth having a little bit of a play about with this and playing suitcase Jenga before you even start packing. If you're going on the Eurostar or flying, then check with those specific travel providers for exactly the sizes and the weights of the luggage that you are allowed. It's well worth having a little luggage weighing device, just a handheld one to chuck in the luggage to make sure that the cases do not weigh too much and you don't end up with excess baggage fees. Because sometimes just redistributing things amongst cases can save you a lot of money. So the other thing it's worth doing before your trip to Disneyland Paris is just watching some vlogs. Like the vlogs that I am currently filming, and if you subscribe to this channel, then you will be able to watch and just see which attractions you really want to put on your list of I must do that, which things you think not so fussed on that, if we've got time maybe we'll fit that in at the end, and make a list, a hit list of all the things you really want to do while you're in the parks. Planning your day within minute-to-minute precision is not required. However, if you do a little bit of planning and you know which rides and attractions you really want to do, you're going to make sure you don't miss out. So with that being said, click on screen and watch some of the vlogs as soon as they're live, as well as some other videos you may find helpful. Thank you so much for watching. Make sure you enjoy your trip to Disneyland Paris. I hope you have a magical time. Subscribe, like, do all the YouTubey things. I'll see you soon. Bye.